Well, we're back. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Y'all Be Good podcast. We couldn't be more excited to continue this new season with another incredible story. Before we jump in, a quick trigger warning though. This episode contains some strong language and discusses topics that may be difficult for some listeners, including addiction, incarceration, kidnapping, and trauma. If you have young ears around or are sensitive to these subjects, you may want to listen with discretion. This week, Heather and I sit down for what can only be described as a roller coaster of an interview. Our guest has requested that we keep her identity private, so we won't be sharing her name or showing her face, but her story is one you won't soon forget. If you're a fan of true crime documentaries, you're gonna be hooked. We talked about life behind bars, drug addiction, kidnapping, survival, and the moments that can completely change the direction of a person's life. But this isn't just a story about crime or bad decisions. At its heart, this is a story about redemption, resilience, and hope. It's about what happens when someone decides to fight for a second chance and build a new life from the ground up. It's raw, it's honest, and it's a powerful reminder that your past doesn't define your future. So this is Season 2, Episode 2 of the Y'all Be Good podcast. Remember, y'all be good.
3, 2, 1. Let's go!
Cuckoo.
Welcome in.
Hello.
I know when we talked about you jumping on the podcast, we want to be super respectful of your personal information.
Your family's privacy.
Yeah, your privacy. That's the word. Thank you. So for this episode, if we're listening, for our listeners, if you're listening on audio, it's only going to be on audio. For video, it's only going to be Heather and I. So just so you guys know, sometimes we'll get texts, you know, that we can't see the other person. Or I did a video with Jack, the nurse practitioner who came in, and I messed up the camera angle. And so I'm cut in half. And I got a bunch of messages that were like, you know, your face is cut off. I'm like, yeah, sorry. That's my fault.
I had a big zit on the other side of my face.
Yeah. Well, welcome in.
Thank you.
You're our first one of the day.
First one of the season.
And first one in the new space.
And the first one in the new space.
Which is totally awesome.
Do you feel honored? You should feel honored. No, I'm just
Honored
kidding.
and nervous.
No.
All of a sudden I get nervous.
Oh
No.
no, don't.
Don't feel nervous at all.
Just ignore the giant microphone in your face.
Yeah.
And it's just like
it'll go away.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes away after a while. So I've been cutting your kid's hair for a little while now.
Yeah, I think 3 years, almost 4.
It's been almost 4, I believe. And every time you come in, you're Mexican, I'm Mexican. Heather is more Mexican than both of us now. And so we've always kind of had this little rapport where we talk and and here I am like, dude, she's like a PTO mom. She's awesome. She's super cool. And then this last time that I'm cutting, you casually mention that your mother passed away in some sort of sequestered.
Yeah, she was kidnapped in Mexico.
And I was like, wait a second.
I kept going with the story.
Yeah.
I was like, my mom was kidnapped in Mexico. And he's like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was super. I was like,
then that was just like the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Where it's like, now we're down the tunnel.
and so my ADHD could not let that go. But before we get there, let's backtrack. Let's backtrack a little bit. Are you from the area?
I am not.
Oh, where are you from?
I am originally, I moved out here from the city, the south side of Chicago.
Okay, nice.
So new beginnings over here.
Yeah, south side of Chicago. Are you, where are you in the sibling list?
I am the third out of 7 of us.
Really?
Holy
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. 8 of us.
It's a big
It's
family.
8 of us. But growing up, it was 7 of us. And then,
Okay.
later on in life, my mom had another baby.
I
But,
gotcha, I
Yeah, but
gotcha,
growing up, it was 7 of us. And all boys, the only girl.
I remember you saying that because you mentioned something about like, I can handle my own. I have whatever 7 brothers
I
or.
was getting beat up left and right.
Oh, dude. Oh,
But that probably aids in some sort of resilience, right? Like
It helped a lot.
Yeah,
I have really thick skin.
You're not taking anything from anyone.
oh, that's crazy. I can't imagine 7 brothers.
But you know what? I wouldn't change it.
No.
I'm glad I
no.
didn't have sisters growing up.
No, well, because I feel like with sisters, there's like some of them grow out of it, but there's always like that little bit of like comparison to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just like, I'm the only girl. I can do what I want. I can beat up the boys.
I was the boy.
I can be
You were
pretty.
one of them.
I was one of them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Were you naturally pretty like adventurous? Like I feel like you come off as someone who, I'll try it or I'll do that.
I think so. I think because growing up with, with so many brothers, like I didn't really have a choice. It was always like I was doing whatever they were doing. And I don't know, it was like growing up, I didn't really have like a lot of girlfriends. It was always like guy friends because of my
Sure.
brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like maybe 1 or 2 like, girlfriends, but
Yeah.
I was more always drawn to hanging out with the boys. And
Well, because they're usually more fun and they're like go with the flow.
well, we were really bad kids too,
Yeah.
Like, we were really bad kids, so
No, never.
Yes.
So-
like we were having like, parties while our parents were, gone. And then my parents were like driving, up at 3:30 p.m. and we're like shoving everybody out the basement windows. And
Oh my
we were
God.
pretty bad.
Did you guys live like in the city or more like a suburb?
No, in the south side. So
On
right
the-
by Midway Airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
that's the south side.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
But
locked,
you know
I
what,
locked
back
my doors
then-
back then.
But it wasn't as bad when I was like growing up
Sure.
as to what it is now,
Or do we think that? Because I think of that in the neighborhood that I grew up in here in Kenosha. Like, it feels like that neighborhood is much worse now. But maybe when we're kids, we just don't know.
No,
No?
I will say that
Okay.
it wasn't as bad because I remember when my parents bought the house, we were the only Hispanics on the block.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was, I believe, in 3rd grade.
Sure.
Yeah, I was starting 3rd grade that summer. So back then it wasn't, there
Did
wasn't
people have like? Did you notice any like stereotypes from people, like thinking like you guys didn't know English or?
well, we were. So my older brother, he doesn't have the same dad as
Okay.
we do. So he's brown, and I'm pretty light. My other brother, after the second one, is pretty light. So they experienced something right away. There was a block party over on the next block, and they were walking to the store, and they offered the light brother food, but not the other one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And our neighbors ended up actually selling the house. I think they were
They were like
they were pretty racist.
white flight.
Sure.
Yeah.
White flight.
Yeah, they
White
could not
flight?
handle.
Is that
I
what
think.
it's called?
Yeah. So families, especially in the like 70s and 80s, with the cities becoming more ethnic, they left
Urban?
the cities. Urban.
Yeah.
They left the cities to go into more rural areas.
Sure.
So there are pockets of like towns that are very white because of white flight from the city. And then, so you get stuff like, I just watched The Crash on Netflix.
Oh, I started that.
You started that? Okay, so that town is one of those towns that is white flight where people were coming in and they're like majority white and the ethnicity besides white is like, like maybe 2% Asian and then maybe a scattering of like black people. So it's definitely like when they moved into the neighborhood, that family was like, this is getting a little too rugged for us and we're going to go live in an area where there's
That kind of makes sense because I'm thinking of Dallas, where my wife's from. She's from Oak Cliff, which, if anyone knows the Dallas area, Oak Cliff is the hood. And there are some very, very affluent, rich parts of Oak Cliff where the people have been there for years and years. But then there's other pockets that it's like literally across the street. Like you cross one street and you're already in that area. That makes sense. Yeah. Those are the ones who didn't flight the whites. Fight the whites. White flight.
White flight.
The white stripes. No. Oh, okay. So growing up, did you grow up with mom and dad?
No, they were
Okay.
well, mom and stepdad.
Oh, mom and stepdad.
Yeah, mom and stepdad, but stepdad was like mom and dad.
Yeah.
You know, mom was there, but not really there.
Gotcha.
She worked like a night job that we
Sure.
really never knew where.
Gotcha.
So she was gone a lot. Like now as an adult, I'm like, no, she was partying, because like she was coming
Okay.
home with shades on at 8 a.m. And we're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, where were you? I was at work, So my stepdad was, basically our mom and dad. And then my father was there, but he was in and out. He's been an addict his whole life, but a functioning addict,
Sure.
So he was there
That's the
like
hard.
financially always, but never like really there.
Yeah.
So it's like we had parents there, but kind of checked out.
Yeah. No, that's the hard part of hearing a story like yours, right? Because a lot of times you think of like nature versus nurture. If you had grown up in a different environment, would it have been different?
100% different.
Yeah.
Like completely different. I think if my mom would have been a little bit more present,
Sure.
a lot of the things that we went through, we probably would have never experienced them and, or been exposed to half the things that
Sure.
we
Sure.
went through.
Well, and that's hard too because it's like even so there's like that saying like you'll never be the parents that your children want or need because there's no way to meet all of the needs. There's some things that you're still learning yourself and experiencing yourself, but then to have like parents that are completely checked out, that generational trauma being pushed forward into you with your mom doing what she was doing. Did your stepdad stay with you guys the whole time?
He did, but he was a truck driver. So it's like,
he was gone too.
He worked local.
Yeah.
But, it was a job that he couldn't miss, So it was like I'd wake up in the morning and, my mom hadn't come home and my stepdad would be calling. We had a house phone back then and he'd be like, hey, did your mom come home yet? I'm like, no, it's like 8 o'clock. And then I had the 3 younger brothers and he would be like, can you stay home with the kids? So I missed a lot of school because she wasn't home.
Oh.
And being the only girl,
Yeah.
you're probably taking over that mother,
expectation.
expectation.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Okay.
Are you still as close with your siblings now?
Oh, all my siblings.
Yeah.
We're super, super close.
That's good.
Are they all in town? Like, are they all
in the city?
In
Yeah.
the city? Okay, so you see them pretty regularly.
Yeah, I mean, one was murdered, but that's a whole nother.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like,
man.
that's a whole nother, yeah. But
your
5
story is
Ralph is like, I watch this stuff on TV.
on TV. Well, we were just saying this, right? Because we are. How old are you?
38.
Okay, so I'm 38. I'll be 39, right? 39? Yeah, I'll be 39 this year. So we're all kind of in the same boat, right? We're all in the same age, but we have all had very different paths in life. Like my dad, he's been a pastor my entire life. Yeah, we had little like pockets of my cousins who thought they were bad and tried doing stuff, and that kind of thing, got in a little bit of trouble, but it was never like that intense of a lifestyle. And then your lifestyle, different trajectory. Heather's life, different trajectory as well. And I'm just thinking like, man, so much can change just by the household that you're born into, right?
100%.
Like that, it's just so, it sucks.
Well,
We were like forced into survival, basically.
Yeah. Well, and yours was super hardcore survival. It wasn't just like emotional. It was everything.
It was it was everything. I mean, but my older brother, I think, had it the worst. Like my mom kicked him out when like it was like a blizzard, the snow up to your knees.
Stop
Like,
Oh no.
yeah, we went through it. That's why I'm like, where do we start? Because there's so much, like because it all connects, and like
Absolutely.
how we all ended up,
When did you start kind of dabbling in drugs or drug dealing? I mean, how did that come about?
I started doing drugs with my siblings, with my brothers. We started just like it was like smoking weed, drinking, and then I didn't want to, like smoking was never really my thing. I never liked it.
Yeah.
But I would do it just because I was with my brothers and stuff like that.
Because you also don't want to be the only sober one in the house.
Exactly.
Because
the
they're
weird
annoying.
One. I'm like the weird one,
Yeah.
And then it really wasn't until like I met a boyfriend that introduced me into a whole nother world, like drugs, money, you know, all of that.
Sure.
And I think I was probably like 16, 17, maybe around.
How old was he?
He was 5 years older than me. So if I was like, so he was probably like 21.
Okay.
Yeah. So because I think we were like 5 years apart, you know? And that's another thing. I never dated anyone my age. It was always someone older than me, you know? I don't know if it was, I don't know, like
the subconscious.
yeah,
like,
I don't know if I couldn't relate to people my age. I don't know, you know? I just
It's probably a combination of
Yeah, it
all
could have
of it,
been all of
though.
it.
Where it's like he's older, so he's smart, he's into me. Because
and I always had to play
I'm
adult.
mature too, and he gets me. But in reality, like even though your experiences were parentifying you, you still haven't had those experiences where he's like that. And he's probably had a different experience too, where it's like, oh, you go for someone who he's like looking for someone to take care of, but also someone who will take care of him, but he feels like a man.
Yeah.
It's gross. Anyway.
I mean, now as an adult, when you look at it, you're like,
Sure,
yeah, you
you're
know,
like,
but in the
geez.
moment, you're just
But
like,
so many girls and well, boys too, all of them get sucked into that, thinking that that's like when you're older, you're like, ew, because you see the difference. But when you're that age,
yeah. And at that age, when you have someone like giving you attention,
Yeah.
like you grew up with like no one giving you attention or affection or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like this person comes into your life and, you know, he's got money and he's like, you know, like pampering you and he's giving you everything that you ever wanted, you know? Of course you're going to get sucked in, you know, you don't know what love is.
Oh,
as far as
absolutely.
like, you know, from parents and stuff like that, you know, so they, you know.
but the attention is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's-
now as an adult, I'm like 100% that's what I was looking for. I was just looking to be loved, cared for.
Yeah, taken care
and then
of.
you're like also gonna let go of a bunch of different things because you're like, well, he treats me so good. It's okay that he's, you know,
Cheating with the whole world.
cheating on these girls, coming home, throwing up on my favorite purse, like whatever.
in your purse.
In your purse.
Yeah.
Was he the boyfriend that kind of got you into?
He's the one that introduced me to everything, but then the whole case is a whole nother separate person. So, you know, I don't even want to go into details with the names.
No. Yeah, we
But
don't
with
need.
him, it was like,
We're gonna call him Tony.
yeah.
No, we got to give him a super with Buford.
Yeah.
Buford.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he, big time drug dealer, you know.
Okay.
Whatever, big time drug dealer. We're out one night and he used to do cocaine all the time. I never had done it in my life, but that day, I wasn't like a big drinker and
Sure.
I was super drunk and I think I was not sobering up. And I remember his words specifically like, I don't want to give you this, but like just take one.
Okay.
And that was like the first thing. Like I took the one bump and then it was like a disaster from there.
Wow.
Because then it became into like, we're going out. Okay, well, then let me have a bump, you know? And like, you know,
let me wake up a little bit.
Yeah, because it was like, oh, I didn't feel anything, like, you know? And then it just started like a whole nother.
Okay, pause. So cocaine, I've heard that, like, super excited.
He's super excited.
I'm sorry about this awful life.
you're fine.
But I know you now, and I know
Yeah.
how life is very different now. So that's why I don't mean to come off as any
All
kind
good.
of okay. I've heard that cocaine really just kind of like
It just
flips
wakes
a
you up.
switch,
Yeah.
and you're ready to rock
Yeah.
for 3 days.
Listen, I don't understand when people like they say they tweak out and that
Sure,
like
sure,
you know
sure.
you see these videos of people like and you're like I'm like that is not cocaine. But then again, you also have to think like where are you getting your cocaine from, right? Like
Sure.
who's your source?
That's
What
so
are they cutting
scary.
it with?
Yeah.
You know, back then when I was partying and whatever I was doing this, like we were getting it off the brick. Like, you know,
Wow.
it was a fridge full of bricks. So you just go in the garage, you grab the brick, you break it, you know, with the knife and you take out whatever you needed. So I think my experience compared to other people's experiences, it's like for me, it was like I don't understand like the tweaking part of it because it was like, hey, you take a bump and you're
Yeah.
So-
ready to mingle all night, you know?
With my
fun.
experience, not me personally, so my ex-husband
I was like, oh.
he loved the cocaine. I also I was always around drugs, always as a young adult. boyfriend did it. His friends did it. I went and partied in a house where they sold it, but I never actively pursued it. One, because everyone was like, oh, I'm so admired. Like, they would say how, like, I was a goody two-shoes. And I was like, yeah, I'm a goody two-shoes. But also, it's expensive and I don't want to spend my money on it.
Yeah.
And I had other things. I had goals. So, my ex-husband would not tweak, but, like, he would, the next day, he would just be an asshole. Or
because the come down is horrible. I will say that the come down, I mean, in the moment, you're living your best life, but the come down is the most disgusting feeling ever.
Wow.
I don't know how graphic we can get on here.
Well, this one's definitely not safe for kids
children.
already.
Okay.
So,
dude, he would come home at night and he would take a bump so that he could drive his little motorcycle home sober, go in our bathroom, lock the door, turn on the shower, and I would hear him come home, and then he would be in there for 4 hours masturbating.
Oh, that's another, yeah.
Like 4 hours straight. And and that should have been it. I should have just him out. And then I hired a girl and she came to work extremely late. And as soon as she walked in, I was like, fudge. Oh no. Because you could see like the drip.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And she's just like when you accuse them of something, that's the tweak. Where they're like, well, we never called it tweaking. We always called it geeking.
Uh-huh.
And she would she freaked out, over exaggerated. And my husband would do that too. Like you'd say like, you're on something. No, I'm not. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you. I got a lawyer. I'm going to sue you. I know a lawyer. Like that was her response to us freaking out. I'm not. I'll do a drug test right now. And it's like, okay, then go do one. Go do one.
Yeah. Men, I don't know. I feel like men tweak out really bad. Like my ex, he would stand in the blind with the blind, like by the blinds with a gun. Like for hours.
What?
Like thinking someone was gonna kick down the door. I'm like, oh, this is it. This started. I'm going to sleep. You know? And then you're like sitting there promising God you're never gonna do it again because you just want to go to sleep. Like the come down is, I don't miss those days at all.
Mm-mm.
You don't happen to have any on you, do you?
No.
No, I was just.
But I can get you some. I'm just like, just kidding.
Well,
I think I need to check this out for myself, right? Like, no.
The closest I ever came to doing it was the boyfriend went into another room during a party, did a bump, came out, but I was going in because I was looking for him, and he kissed me and pushed me out of the room so that I wouldn't see, and then I'm like it was tingling,
Yeah.
and I was like, what the and then I'm all dramatic, and I'm threatening to leave, but we took his car, and one of my friends was like, I'll drive you home, and I was like, you know, doing the pouty thing because I wanted the attention.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. First of all, whenever I get something like I accidentally get something up my nose that hurts, so I can't imagine
having to shove.
If it's pure cocaine, it's nothing. And then I mean, I don't know if you know, but like you can pay people to have it like made into flavors.
Oh, no way,
Yeah,
really?
so it's like we had like strawberry cocaine and coconut cocaine, and then you pay like an extra $800 to $900 per ounce to have it. Yeah, it's like a whole
wow.
Okay, so logistically, you're going to the fridge or whatever, and you're taking these blocks out. These blocks are coming straight from
Mexico.
From like, yeah.
From Mexico, and then whoever he was getting them from at the point, and then
So at least in my brain of only knowing what I know from movies, that's a pretty high connection that you would have then.
100%. Yeah, I mean, if
that's to the source.
Yeah, because his source is the person from Mexico, whatever, you know, and then he distributes it, you know, in the city according to who he's dealing with and stuff like that.
And then those other people are probably the ones
They're
cutting
the ones
it.
that cut it, and they, that's when it goes into the streets, and you know, you got to worry about whatever
Fentanyl.
Yeah.
I
don't think, you know what, back then I feel like we didn't really.
Fentanyl wasn't as
a thing.
a big as it is now.
I don't think, you know, I felt like, I don't know, like
You never heard about it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a thing back then.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to think. Like, so another person in my life, she had a really big coke habit in the 80s. And like she too was dating a drug dealer, and she would like get it out of the safe and borrow some, if you will. And like, I don't think she ever talked about that either. Because like, she would tell us about her past life, and I'm trying to be vague.
Sure.
Just because I don't have her permission to tell the story.
Yeah.
But like, I just think about like, she never talked about that either. I mean, the most that she talked about was like, she would freebase it and then dig her skin out because she would imagine bugs in her skin.
Off cocaine?
She had it.
I feel like that would be meth.
No, she was freebasing cocaine, and she was, I think there's an episode, I won't say, okay. She had a $500 a day habit.
Oh, wow.
So she was like constantly, like there wasn't a moment where she was awake and she was sober.
But here's the thing, though, like hearing your story now and then hearing this story, yeah, I'm like, no, she's the one who's getting it from the drug dealer who's cut it with who knows what.
See, by the time it gets to like people like you're her friend, that's why I said, I'm like, no, that sounds like meth.
The rich people get the bad stuff.
Yeah, you.
I was gonna say
you're getting it from like the direct source, you know.
No, now I kind of want to ask her to be on the podcast. Be like, hey. You want to?
Because she's already stories. No.
Well, that would be actually really.
All of that's so gnarly, though.
Oh, well, I don't know. I think it'd be fun to like compare stories because like she had a completely different childhood than you did.
Yeah.
She like in some ways like they had, they lived in an affluent area. They were never wanting for food. Her mom was sick, so she was parentified. But like. It was mostly like the emotional part where she's like looking for someone to love her. And then like I feel like every family has various degrees of addiction. Like because I feel like everyone has an addiction. It's just like, what is your addiction? Where do you put it out?
Yeah,
what's the easiest way to cope? So it's like food, drugs, alcohol. Like what is socially acceptable in your household to become addicted to?
Attention, love,
food for me.
Yeah,
food.
All the things.
I think as an adult, I think mine's became food.
Yeah.
But I think it's also too from like from the struggle when we were kids. Like we didn't have a lot of food, my older brother and I, we would dumpster dive for food. Like we really went through it, So that's why it was after it was like we were just kind of forced to survive, It's like, well, what do you do?
Well, and then of course, if you go to the parties, there's going to be something to eat there.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, let's jump back into the story. So this was first boyfriend, Buford, who kind of introduced you to a lot of this and the lifestyle. So you're probably seeing money floating around. You're probably seeing all the things that could be
giving money. Like he's giving me money, like good money. But then it came to like, I had a friend, like a girlfriend. And then I don't know, from one day he was just like, you guys should start selling and you guys can make extra money.
Oh, sure.
And I mean, we were probably like...
It's an MLM for drugs.
18, I want to say, like 18.
Wow.
And by this time already, like we're partying hardcore with him. We went from cocaine, now we're doing ecstasy. Okay. So we're just like, we are able to, I don't even know how we were able to get into these bars that we were going to, because we weren't even of age. I don't even remember if we might have had an ID or we just looked older or whatever.
Or you knew the right people.
Yeah, and then we just started selling like little by little, little baggies to, I don't know how you would call it, to the paisas. I don't know what you say. How do you, like the Mexican men at the bars that don't, really speak English, and then you just start, building your clientele from there. And then it just.
How would you like introduce it? Like you're like.
Oh, you just know.
You
like
just know?
Once you start, I don't know, like at like, I like even till this day, if I go to like, a Hispanic party, I know who's doing cocaine. I know who's not. Like I can tell, like.
You could see it.
That's so crazy.
You can see it. And the first sign is like the constant bathroom breaks is what's going to give it up. If you're an observer like me, I observe everywhere I go. And I'm like, he's been to the bathroom 5 times already in like an hour. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're quick.
If you start just paying attention, just start paying attention. Or, when you go places. And
I drink a lot of water. Now I'm going to be self-conscious.
No, because it's different.
Ralf went to the bathroom
totally
again.
different. Because like I remember one of my first dates with my ex-husband, we were at a bar. And I was like eating my burger alone because he would get up and he made that excuse. He's like, yeah, I went to the gym today and I drink a lot of water, so I got to pee a lot. And I'm like, okay. But I kind of like, I told myself like, you're just exaggerating. Like not everybody does it. But back, in that group, everyone did it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But, oh, that's so funny. Well, also like all of the other little telltales, like.
Yeah, their eyes start getting really dilated. Their
sure.
mouth starts like they're talking and their mouth is like kind of going to the side. Like they're trying to, it's so obvious.
Is the feeling of being on, you said it's pretty like.
It's like 10 seconds. Well, that's how I was always described. It's
No.
like it's like a
Not
quick
when-
minute.
Not when you have pure cocaine. Hell no. I'm like, hell no. Because for like, I remember when I would do cocaine sometimes and it was so like pure, so good. I'd be like, holy shit, I'm so like wired.
This
Yeah.
is
Because I
Pulp
was just
Fiction
like,
over here.
like
Yeah.
I would just feel like tight. Like I was just so awake. And
Invincible.
yes. And like sometimes I would try to talk, but the words were not coming out, you know? That's why I'm like, why would I ever want to do that? I don't get it.
Well,
to
but
be
at the
young
time,
and dumb, right?
yes.
To be young and dumb. Yeah.
Well,
I guess.
because also when you're younger, you're like, I can stop whenever I want. I don't want to stop, but
You know what? That's something that's funny that you say that because, like, you know, when people are like, she had an addiction, like, I still, till this day, I feel like I would say, like, I never had an addiction because to me, it was all mental. Maybe because I'm so, like, mentally strong.
Sure.
I never, like, woke up and was like, I need a bump. You know, like,
Yeah.
I need, like, I
It was
would go
always
about
a
my-
choice that
yeah,
you
it was always
made.
a choice, even like with ecstasy, because ecstasy, I really, really abused that. Like
Yeah.
really, really. I went really hard with that. And you hear these stories and you see these, but I'm just like, I mean, I'm glad that I never, I can't imagine if
Sure.
I would have became like addicted, like what life, I mean, fuck,
Yeah.
it was already bad as it was. I, thank God, that I at least had the
Yeah.
power
That
to
you
control
weren't
that.
necessarily the addict. The addict
Yeah.
brain didn't really jump in. I listen to a podcast pretty regularly. It's called Armchair Expert, and the main guy, Dax Shepard, he's very open about his past substance abuse and just kind of how he was an addict for so many years, and now he's totally sober. He's in his 50s, kind of a newer dad. His kids are probably like 11 and 12 now or something like that. So he's in his 50s with younger girls, and he's very open and honest with a lot of his conversations, and that was one of the big things that I've come to kind of learn and understand, because there is the addict brain, right? Like you don't necessarily know who's if that's you until you're in it, right? Like I don't know if I necessarily have that addicty brain. I don't necessarily think any vices, like I could. If I drink, I'm a super social drinker. But for him, like hearing him talk, it's like if he has one drink, it's sparking. Where's
If
the
you give him
cocaine?
a
It's a
cookie.
trigger.
Yeah, where's the cocaine coming from? And it's like one drink will spark the addict brain in him. And that's super scary to think too, right? Because I think of my kids and I think of my family. And I'm like, I don't want people to go through that. Like if it were something where, I don't know, maybe I'm just morally ambiguous enough to think like if it were something that they could enjoy once, maybe even like alcohol, right? That it's not really a big deal if they have a drink and they go out and they're of age and all that stuff. But I hate to think of it spiraling into something hard, and because that'll ruin a life.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's hard. Like I still, even with my family, because like my brothers still do it. They casually do it like on the weekends, but they're all successful. They all have businesses. Like everyone is doing good, but it's hard, like coming around, and then it's just like, fuck, you're seeing it. You're like, and it's just like, no, it's telling your brain like, no. That's why for me, I choose to not drink, right? Because like, it's easy. Like you never know. Like what if one day you're just like, well, fuck it. Yeah. So when I think in the last about 8 years, like when I come around my family, I will limit myself to 2 drinks.
Okay.
And that's it. And like, unless like, my partner's with me, because obviously I know like, don't even try it or don't even, you can't even push, So it's like, so that's like my thing now. It's like, I would say like this last year, 1 to 2 years, I'm not even really drinking anymore, because I'm just like, I mean, luckily I haven't had like like where I crave it or anything like that. But I think it's scary. Like, who knows? Like, if I'm ever like really drunk, and like, you know, if I'm around family, and then I'm just like, well, fuck it, why not? You know. So I'd rather just not put myself in that situation.
That's smart.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really smart.
And a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, like, why don't, you know, people that I hang out with now, like, come on, take a shot. And I'm just like, no. Because like, I don't want to put myself in situations that you just never know.
Well, and that's what kind of sucks too, is like with the experience with the ex-husband, he was like constantly battling it. And at one point he's like, I'm not going to drink. And so he's like, if I want to drink, don't let me drink. But it's like, well, that's your responsibility. That's not my responsibility. But people would harass you if you had decided, I'm not drinking today, or, you know, just one drink, it's not going to hurt you. And it's like, no, it's not that. Like, I don't want to drink. Yeah. And even with the ex-boyfriend, like all the guys that I've ever been with, like they go through a moment where they're like, I don't think I'm going to do this. And then everyone's harassing them, or not even him. Like a good friend of mine, he stopped drinking for a long time. But he did smoke a lot of weed. So he was like, what do they call it? California sober. So, but he would get, you know, all the guys would like pick on him because they're like, oh, you're not drinking? What's wrong with you? Like, but it's like, okay, it says more about you that you're offended by me not wanting to have a drink.
And that's what bothers me, when people are not respectful of your boundaries. That's the one thing that triggers me. It's like, you know, if you come over to my house and I offer you a drink and you're like, no, perfectly fine, that's it. You know, like I'm going to respect it. But I hate when I go somewhere and they're like, pushing, and that's enough like to make me just like, okay, I'm leaving, you know. Because it's like, you shouldn't force people.
Exactly.
You know? I don't know, maybe I didn't understand it then, but now I'm just like, you know. And I have to set serious boundaries with family.
I'm sure. I was about to ask, how do your brothers react to you?
They don't know. They don't ever offer, like, no. Okay. Like, you know, they'll be like, oh, do you want a beer? And I'll be like, yeah or no, or if I am or if I'm not, you know, and that's it. But they don't ever, like, that's one thing I will say. Like, I think they know, respect my boundaries, because if not, I'm getting the fuck up. And
I was going to say, that's rather have you in their life.
Either you respect my boundaries than anything, like my partner, friends, whatever. Like, if I don't want to come, don't force me, and that's it, you know? Yeah. And so far, so good.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. That is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you know, I know we're not into that topic yet, but going to jail at the same time was like the best thing that could have happened to me, because it, like, I think if I hadn't of went, you know, God knows where I would have been.
Well, can we fast forward to that now? You were going to say something. Oh, okay. So let's fast forward. Okay, so this was ex-boyfriend Buford got you into that stuff. Yeah. Now there's a new person involved.
So, you know, he goes to jail. The feds come and pick him up.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I had been on and off with him for like whatever, a while. And then he ended up getting indicted on this big case and goes, you know, to federal prison, whatever. You know, I'm still keeping in contact with him, blah, 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 whatever. I am driving one day, and then like this guy, you know, pulls up next to me. I'm blasting my music, and it's like Spanish music, and then he doesn't speak any English, and he's like, oh, it tells me in Spanish, like, oh, you like that music? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Mexican, you know, so whatever. We exchange phone numbers, and immediately like calls me and invites me to dinner, and I'm like, well, I don't know, like I don't have a sitter, so like hold on, like, you know, I think it was like during the week or something.
This
like that.
Some random guy at a stoplight.
Yes, at a stoplight, right? This is how you're meeting people back then, right? So then I get back. I think at the time I was living with my cousin, or I was staying a lot with her, I don't know, whatever. And he's insisting on going to dinner, and my cousin is pregnant at the time, so she's home. She's not doing. She's like, just go. I'll watch. You know, your daughter. I'm like, okay. Picks me up. I don't remember where we went to dinner, but he ends up giving me $300 for the babysitter.
Okay. He's like, hell, I'll pay it.
Yeah. You know, I already knew. Like, I knew he was a drug dealer. Like I told you, I can just filter people out. You know, so when he gave me $300 for the babysitter, I was like, yeah, this is not a regular person this went to work at Target 9 to 5. You know?
Oh my God.
You know? So I was like, great, thanks. And then it just started from there.
Okay.
It, you know, the whole thing, a whole nother, like, you know, toxic, really unhealthy relationship. And I mean,
The love bombing.
Like it was, but he was like a serial cheater, you know, but it was so hard to get out of that relationship because, you know, he was giving me everything. And I will say I was in love with him. And everyone like would be like, there's no way you're in love with him. Like, oh, I forgot to add, I am 20 years old when I meet him.
Okay.
And he's 31.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm 20, he's 31. I think he had at the time like 6 kids.
Shut
Wow.
up.
Yes, with 2 different women.
Okay.
So he's supporting 2 different households.
He definitely had white ostrich skin boots, right? Like
Something
somewhere
like
in
that,
there.
yeah. One of those. You know, spoke no English, but was always well put together.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so whatever. I start bringing him around my family. You know, my mom liked him. You know, they got along with him pretty well. And same thing, like he's drug dealing, and all of a sudden I become the translator between him and these other people. And like we're going to California and taking rides and coming back with drugs. And again, you're young. You're just like, nothing's ever going to happen, you know? So he gets robbed, you know, for like 15. I think, no, I'm sorry. It was 10 kilos the first time. So then, same thing. He's got one person above him that's, you know, the brother is sending them from Sinaloa to the brother, you know, to his source. He gets them. He's distributing them to whatever, you know, everybody else. And so his source by this time already knows where I live, right? Yeah. So the first time he gets robbed, I'm kind of like, oh shit, that's a lot of money that you're in debt. So he's still paying off this debt. Time goes by, you know, they're still giving him whatever, drugs, blah, 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 blah. I end up going to California on my own for something. I don't even remember for what, but he was supposed to pick me up and never showed up at the airport. And I'm like, what the hell? So I take a taxi or whatever to you know, the trap house where I knew I'd find him. And he's partying, coked out, and he's like panicking. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I got robbed again and this and this and that. And I think the problem with him is that he was such a nice person.
Oh, no.
Like he was so trusting, you know?
No.
Yeah, I'm like, he was so trusting that I think whatever, they robbed him. So by this time, I'm nervous because I'm like, you're still in debt from the first time. Now this is 15 because the first time was 10. The second time is 15 kilos. And I'm like, they're not going to like forgive you for this one.
Yeah.
So then I get nervous because I'm like, they know where I live. So then, you know, like what usually happens in situations like that, they start going towards, you know, your people. So me being, I don't know where I got brave, I said, well, let's go kidnap them. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, yeah.
The people that stole.
Yeah, whoever stole, because they were in Michigan. So he did a deal, I guess, with someone in Michigan, whatever, you know. I'm like, well, let's go, you know, kidnap them. And remember, he's a Mexican man that, like, looks like your typical, like, señor, like, you know, probably doesn't know a shooter in his life, you know.
Okay, gotcha.
So then I orchestrate, you know, put my little team together, my brother that passed away, his best friend, and then I think he knew one guy, and then like one of his guy friends. So at the very last minute, my brother chickens out, and he's like, "No, I'm not going. I have to take care of my kids." Like, okay, whatever. But his friend is like, "Fuck it, I'm coming."
Down to
because I had told his friend, I'm like, "If you come with us, I'll give you $20,000." He's like, "Cool, whatever." So he sets up, I don't know, whatever, the people in Michigan. I don't know anybody in Michigan at this point, you know. But he sets up the deal. I think he told them, like, I don't know if he was going to bring more drugs or something like that, supposedly. So whatever. So we drive to Michigan, 2 separate cars. He brings with 3 kilos of cocaine, you know, and 3 guns. And we met them, I believe it was in a church parking lot. I'm like getting nervous talking about it, you know? I'm like, oh. So we meet them in the church, you know, parking lot, and then they just throw them in the truck.
No way.
Oh, yes. But before that, we stopped at public storage, I think it was, public storage. So I get out to buy zip ties, you know, to zip tie them. So then we get whatever. The whatever. They throw them in the cars. We drive back to Chicago. Then I'm on the phone with my older brother. And I said, hey, I have 2 guys. Can you take care of them? I just need you to keep them in a garage. And my older brother's like, fuck no. You're fucking crazy. Like, no. Because I think he had just gotten out of jail, you know?
Sure.
He had done like 9 months or something. So he's like, no, he wanted no part of it. So we end up taking them to the mother of his kids' house and had them in the garage. So whatever. So I think like a day or 2 or something like that. No more than 2 days. So they made, my boyfriend at the time makes, because it was brothers, I believe, that we kidnapped. He makes them get on the phone and call their person. So whoever they were distributing to.
Sure.
So they make the other person in Michigan think like, hey, we're ready for you. And the guy's like, I'm coming back from Vegas. I need a day or I need some time or whatever. Okay, fine. So he thinks that he's going to buy product from his connects.
Yeah.
But his connects are going to set him up to basically recoup the money that they owe over here. So whatever. So then we make another trip, 2 separate cars again, meet him at a gas station. I'm in a separate vehicle. Like he doesn't, like the guy that we're about to, rob or whatever doesn't know that we're coming along. So we're just in a separate vehicle. So whatever. They take us to the first house. And remember I said we brought 3 kilos. Mm-hmm. They wanted to test the product. So they tested 1. They wanted to see another one. Then they wanted to see a third because they thought we were bringing 10.
Okay.
So we were like, kind of like, fuck, by the third, we're like, we hope that they don't ask for another one. Because remember, they cut it, they're opening it, they're cutting it, and then they test it. So by the third one, they were like, okay, we're good. Like, so we were like, okay, cool. So from there, they make us go to a second house, to get the money. So when we get to, so remind you, I'm just following in another car. And I'm passenger. And then when they get to the second house, they all go in and they basically tie him up in the basement and they take the money. And I'm sitting in the passenger and I'm like getting nervous because I'm like, fuck, like, like what if something goes wrong? And I'm sitting here and I'm the only person here. Like I need to be able to take off or something, like I started getting really scared, you know? So whatever, they get in the car and they're like, drive. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just driving. I get on the highway and then I see in the rear view mirror, like the state police, but it's coming. Like,
oh yeah.
It's cruising.
And then remember I said we were in 2 separate cars. The other minivan that had come with us, they were pulled over. So then I tell him, I'm like, they're pulled over. He's like, no, you're fine. I was like, no. I'm like, and I told him like the police is coming, So I tell him like, get on the phone and like call whoever you need to call down in Mexico. So he's on the phone, the phone falls out of his lap and he's like trying to explain what's going on. And sure enough, the state police like pulls me over and they got out with guns drawn right away. And they were like very specific. Is there any drugs, guns, or, whatever, money in the vehicle? And I was like, not to my knowledge, So then right away, like they just started coming the cars and I seen like the canine and I was like, fuck, So then they started searching and the dog wasn't really picking up on anything. The dog like kind of didn't want anything to do, but I guess he found, a magazine for like the clip for the gun.
Oh, sure.
I think. So when I was driving, they were trying to stuff the money like in the compartments, like the secret compartments. So I think the thing for the gun might have fell out.
Oh, no, yeah.
So I think that's what caused them to like, okay, And he's like, well, what is this? And I was like, I don't know.
It's a rental.
It's a clip.
I was like, I have no idea,
But there's no gun. There's just a clip.
Yeah. So then they put me and my brother's friend in the back seat right away. And as soon as we got in the back seat, he told me, you do what you have to do. Like, if you have to blame me, do what you have to do. He said, because I think he was like 3rd time felon or something like that. I had never been arrested.
Sure.
I had never. So I will always give him credit for that because he was like, you do what you have to do. Like, you have your daughter to get home to, So whatever. So then they,
Like
they
in a sad way that's like really sweet, but at the same time, it's like that's so messed up.
Yeah. So then, they start driving us on the highway, but then all of a sudden the car, makes like a U-turn and it comes back. And then that's when they brought us back to the scene and then they're like taking out the money. And then I was like, okay, fuck.
Yeah, now you're in it.
So now I'm like, okay. So then we get to the station and obviously they separate us all. The funny thing is that they never, they kept my boyfriend at the time separate from us, right?
Bless
you.
Thank you.
Because it was like me and my brother's friend, but my boyfriend, at the time, he didn't ride in the same car. He didn't, which, I didn't understand it now, but now I didn't understand it then, but now it all makes sense. So whatever, we get to the station, they put me in a holding cell. Mind you, I'm such at the time, I have to take off my shoes? What do you mean? It was hitting that you're going to jail. And I'm like, what do you mean I have to take off my shoes? It's hitting me hard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, okay. So whatever, I'm just laying there and I'm thinking to myself, damn, I'm not going to go home. This is real.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to hit me and I'm like, this is really serious. Fuck, So whatever, they come and they take me to an interview room. And then they're like, what are you doing down here? So then I said, my boyfriend was going out of town. I didn't believe that he was coming alone. I said, he's been cheating on me with a friend, which was true. I knew what he was going, but the whole situation, whatever. I'm like, I didn't. And you know what? In all honesty, I could have probably just had him go on his own, but the thought of he's going to take my friend, I'm going to come. Mm-hmm. You're not going to go, And that's why I said it, for being in love, look at what, I got myself into. So whatever. So I start telling the detectives, he's going to take a trip. I didn't believe him that he was going to, come without a woman. So I wanted to come. So that's it. My boyfriend's taking a trip. I never said anything about the situation.
Sure.
And they're like, well, he said that this was all your idea.
Dang, he sold you out.
Hold on. And then I was like, what? So I was like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. Let me rewind. Because I didn't tell you why the state police pulled us over.
Oh, sure.
So the guy that they tied up in the basement, the feds were on him. The feds were already working a huge
They already
case
knew
on him. So we just happened to,
Gave them the...
We went
wrong
into the
place, wrong time.
Exactly.
Oh,
Sorry, that was a very crucial thing, So whatever. So when they're telling me at the station, well, he said that this was all of your idea, and I'm in my head, I'm like, they're lying. They're just trying to get me, and I was like, nope, I have no idea. So that was my story, and I was sticking to it.
Yeah, sure.
So whatever. They took all our belongings. All of a sudden, they're like, okay, you're gonna go home, and I'm like, I'm going home, and they're like, yeah. They gave us $100 each. They dropped us off at the, the bus station or whatever. They kept my purse. They kept everything. And I'm still like, can I get my purse back? And they're like, be glad you're going home. Because I was like, I just bought that MAC makeup, That's how stupid I was, I was worried about the MAC makeup that I had just bought in my iPod that had 20,000 songs at the time.
You're like, there's a lot of money in that purse and I want it back.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. So whatever. We didn't take the bus. We ended up getting a taxi. And then we're like, we'll just pay the difference once we get there. We take the taxi to his ex's house. Because at this time, I'm best friends with all the baby mamas,
Yeah.
So whatever. I get home and I tell my brothers what happened. And and they're like, there's no way they let you go. You had to have said something. I'm like, I didn't. Nobody could believe that they let me go. My brother's like, you need to go see an attorney immediately. So my brother found me an attorney, and I go and I explain to him what happened. He's like, yep, you need to stay off your phone. Most likely, they're going to build a case. Feds have 5 years to, charge you. Stay, I think they said 3 at the time. I don't know if it's changed now. So I'm like, okay. So that was October of 2009. And I continued. Oh, so I tell my boyfriend, what did they ask you? And then he's like, well, no, just that, why did we come over here? I told him I didn't know. And then I told him, yeah, they told me that you said, that it was all my idea. And he's like, no, ¿cómo crees? How can you believe that? Well, it's fine. Left it alone. So then we're still dating, 2011 comes around, right before, I got indicted. I had a feeling we were being watched. Towards the end, I could feel it, because I would go, like, we had like an apartment, it was like the whole building. It was like a business building, but like, it was all rented out to him, but nobody lived there. It was just the very top. Yeah. Like it was, so we had that whole, it was like three condos and then like a business at the bottom, but there was nothing. It was all empty. We just used the very top condo. And for some reason, like I decided not to go up there, you know, that day. And I was sitting in the car and I could see like, so this area where it was at, it was like mostly Hispanic, Black. So to see a white man in a pickup, like, you know, like I was like, something is freaking going on, you know? And then I just started seeing this face at a bar that I would go to, you know? It just started, like, I started getting really, really paranoid. So whatever, that weekend, because I got picked up on a Monday, and that weekend, you know, before, we had done some major shopping. We took my mom shopping, and we're like, I was like, let's just stay at my mom's house, you know. I think we were tired. We didn't, you know, want to drive anymore. So we're sleeping, and all of a sudden I heard on my, you know, my bedroom door, and I'm like, who is it? And they're like, FBI, open up. And I'm thinking to myself, because at the time, my younger brother used to sell weed, like, you know, nicks and dimes. And I was like, this dumbass got the house raided, you know. I'm thinking, you know, that like this idiot. And then I was going to open the door. And then I remembered I had like some cocaine. So I grabbed it and I swallowed it, you know.
Stop it.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a lot. It was just like a little bit, you know.
And it's not that much. It wasn't that much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I thought, you know, I'm thinking the house is getting raided. They're going to see it. They're going to arrest me for it. So then, you know, they say my name. Mind you, I'm in my underwear, you know? And I'm like, they say my name. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, put your hands behind your back. And I was like, me? And they're like, we have a warrant out for your arrest from Michigan.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that's when it hit me. And I was like, fuck. Like, okay, this is where, you know, they came back 2 years later.
With the supporting documents that I have here in my hands.
Yes.
In case any of you think she's making it up.
Yes.
Your life is a movie, bruh.
Yeah. So I come out the room and I'm like, can I at least get dressed? And they're like, yeah. And then I'm like, can I brush my teeth? They're like, no.
You're like,
so they have my brothers, you know, basically everyone's like handcuffed, like sitting down, you know, my mom's on the stairs crying, you know. So it's like, I think it was like FBI, ATF, DEA. It was like a movie. And then they just put me in the car and then they took me to the federal whatever center in downtown, you know, in Chicago. And that's where it started, you know. And then my brother right away reached out to the attorney. And I think I just sat there for a couple days, maybe 2 or 3 days. I don't remember. It wasn't more than 4 days. I went to the pretrial thing and my aunt had to like sign for me. No one in my family wanted to like show face for me, you know, no one. And it was like my aunt from Florida. She's the one that like only showed face for me. And basically saying like it was her ass if I like fled or whatever, you know? So then I was supposed to be, it was a Friday. I was supposed to be released. Yeah. So if I got arrested on Monday, so Friday I was supposed to be out. You know, I guess my brother was like circling downstairs and, you know, I asked someone if they can make a phone call for me because I hadn't been processed yet. I couldn't make calls. I couldn't nothing. So they're like, hey, you know, like, your sister said she asked the guards, like what time is she leaving? And because I remember I was like, hey, I'm supposed to be being released. And then she was like, honey, you ain't going home on a Friday. No one's going to do your paperwork.
Oh, no.
And then I was like, oh, okay. Because I didn't understand, you know? So the girl called my brother. Luckily, my attorney's office was right behind the building. I had a really good attorney. And he fucking walked over there and he was like, if my client is not released, someone's losing their job on Monday. When I tell you they pushed my ass out of there so fast.
Oh, dude.
They gave me some man's clothes. Like, I smelled like cigarette. I was like, I don't care what I'm wearing, but I'm leaving, you know? And that was it. And that was the start of, you know, of the case.
And the trial and the...
That was in 2011. And I fought the case because I self-surrendered in 2014. So I was out for a while, you know? And he... my boyfriend, he was never able to get out. Like, he was in custody the whole time because he wasn't a citizen. So he was still making it happen. He was still having his ex bring me money, blah, 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 still trying to keep the communication.
Yeah.
And my brother was telling me, because then the attorney's like, hey, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I was like, I don't know anything. Like, I was sticking to my story.
Sure. Yeah.
And my brother was like, hey, I think like you need to cooperate because I have a feeling he's cooperating. I'm like, no, he would never do that. Like, he would never do that. And everyone was telling me like, hey, like
he's selling you out.
he's selling you out. So I was dead set to go to trial because I was like, when I got indicted on, remember, that person's case in Michigan, the one that they were on. So I got charged with conspiracy and intent to distribute. If you see the papers, like if I was selling to this person. So then they were like, I was like, nope, I'm going to trial. And so when you go to trial, then, when you're set to go to trial, they send you like the discovery, like of, whatever they have or whatnot. And then I got notified, like I got the paper where it was his statement basically saying, throwing me under the bus.
Yeah.
And then that's when I panicked and I was like, no, okay, I want to cooperate. So I had to cooperate. He not only he actually ended up throwing his connect under the bus. And then this other, the guy who had never been arrested with us, got indicted on the case as well. And then it really put me against the wall because it was either like me or like go to jail for 22 people that I have nothing to do with in Michigan. Because they were like, when I finally decided to, I think if I would have decided to cooperate earlier, I probably would have walked away with probation. I probably would have walked away because, but I was so dead set that I don't know anything. I was just coming because my boyfriend was going with another girl. And it's pretty effed up, because it's like, couldn't everybody just like shut up and then, but it's like you put me against the wall where like I had to testify, above someone above you that like it just put me in a really hot spot until this day. Like, that's why when I go into the city, I'm really worried because it's like, you have to think like this man, he got, I think 27 years, but he's pretty plugged up, from Sinaloa. And it's like, you don't want to run into these people, like,
of course.
Yeah, that's why I'm, it's.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like they're not in their right mind because they're all on drugs. And then everyone's looking out for themselves. They're not like,
everyone says like, oh, I would never testify. I would never. But when you're in that situation, like, had he not said anything about me, I would have just stuck to my story and done whatever time they were going to give me, But it's like, how the hell did I have more balls than you? Mm-hmm. Because even like, again, my brother's friend, he was the only person on the case that refused to testify. And he got, I think, 8 years. He did all his 8 years and he's out. And, he has tried to meet up with me, but I just don't want to because I don't, at this point, I don't trust anybody, you know, because I don't know. I just was like, I'm real paranoid about it. Like, but now
also
I'm
that's that's your past. And we leave the past
I want
in the
nothing
past.
to do with the past. It's like, I'm nowhere near the person that I was in 2009, so it's like, we have no business talking to each other.
Well, that was the thing. Like, you're not that person.
No.
And when you started coming around here and we're talking and you're telling us how to make whatever it was, birria. Yeah, you're telling us how to make some birria. And I'm like, dude, you know what? Yeah, she's cool, man. And then we're talking the other day. You mentioned that all this stuff. And I'm like, you're not that. That's not who we see now, right?
Yeah.
But you also mentioned that life is also different, right? Because you do have federal charges against you and your name, and you're not able to just walk into a certain place and get a job. Like, there are so many things, even for someone who is truly, and I believe this, that you're contrite against what you've done.
Yeah.
You're sincere about it.
You served your time.
Yeah.
Well, how long did you serve?
I just did 30 months. So I was like 2 years, and then you get out and then you go to the halfway house, and then you're like on like home confinement, kind of like a house arrest, just not the band, but where they're calling. So let's just say it was like 2 years, a little bit over 2 years, 2.5 years dealing with that. And then I did, I think, 5 years probation. Mm-hmm. I think I got off maybe early because for good behavior. And then so I mean, again, it's just like, I just wish we can just forget about that and move on. But unfortunately, you know, being a convicted felon, it doesn't work that way. You know, you're always going to be reminded of your past, you know, you're always going to have to work extra harder to try to, you know.
Did you go through a lot of like mental health stuff?
When I was in there or?
Well, there and now.
Yes. I self-surrendered in March. Like the beginning of March of 2014. And then my mom was kidnapped in May. So I think I was still trying to process the feelings of like trying to adjust to my new life being in there. And then it's like, you know, getting told that your mom's kidnapped, you know, and you can't do anything. Like that was really hard mentally, you know. But while I was in there, I did choose to voluntarily do like a drug program. You know, some people do the drug program because they can get time off their sentence.
Sure.
I didn't qualify for time off because my case involved guns. So if it would have been like just drugs, yes, or like white collar crime or something. But I think when there's guns involved, like I think they call it like a 2-point enhancement. Like, I don't know, my case had an extra 2 points for the guns. I didn't qualify for the time off, but I decided to still do the program. And I think that the program really, really helped me. Like it helped me in so many ways, you know, to learn about myself and, you know, just how to be a better person, you know? And, you know, I know that it sounds crazy saying it, but I feel like going to jail really saved me. You know,
definitely.
I wouldn't change it. I would not change it. I mean, granted, and the only, you know, with my mom being, you know, kidnapped and being there, that was really hard. But aside from that, I mean, I think going to jail was probably the best thing that happened to me because who knows where I would have been right now, right?
Yeah.
Like I probably would have been with the same toxic person or I don't know, you know. Like,
or a new toxic person.
And maybe I would have become an addict. You know, maybe I would have, you know, started going into other drugs or something.
I think you have enough of the tenacity and just I don't know. I feel like if this wasn't your path, we'd be seeing a different documentary on Netflix of the new leader. Because you kind of have that vibe, right? Like you're over here orchestrating a whole.
But that's one
my
thing.
boyfriend always says like wasted talent. He's like you have to He's like you have to figure out something that like you're good at and like go for it. He's like
who's that lady that was like the drug queen?
Griselda Blanco.
Yes.
I'm not a Griselda Blanco.
No.
Only because you got caught early.
Well, but that's the one thing I do want to know is like when you were deciding this, like you heard like all this money and you're like sitting there and you're like, instead of being like, shit, you're fucked, you were like, we're gonna fucking fix this. And I know that was the love talking, but were you like super angry and like steaming or were you just so scared?
No, I think I was scared. I think I was more scared because they knew where I lived. And at the time I was living at my mom's house and, you know, I was thinking about my family because I was like, fuck that. I'm scared. Like, someone's going to get hurt for this death, you know, and it's not going to be my family. You know, that's all I was thinking about at the time, you know, because I was just scared that they were going to come either, you know, to him or to me and my family.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's what made me just think fast.
Yeah.
Wait, the two guys that you guys originally kidnapped, you guys took them back with you guys?
Yes, because remember they were setting up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you guys left them in a garage somewhere, and then you guys are getting pulled over.
We were actually really nice to them. Like we didn't beat them. We didn't, you know, like yes,
you were just like, I'm gonna scare you a little bit.
You know, we brought them tacos, like very kind. You know,
if I was gonna be kidnapped, the tacos would be like, I'd be
gave them blankets
cool.
and stuff like that. It was just kind of like, hey, you just need to put the money back.
Yeah,
It
for
wasn't
sure.
like we weren't like, you know, like we weren't assholes about it. It was just kind of like this money needs to be replaced, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been, you know, you could have tortured them. You could have done, you know, and it wasn't, you know? Oh, but also to add, so when I finally decided to cooperate, I believe it was like in December, you know, God works in mysterious ways because in January, whoever hadn't like copped a deal, pleaded guilty or whatever it was, they call it, I believe they superseded the case. So then they brought in new charges. So then my co-defendants got charged with the kidnappings.
Oh man.
I never got charged with the kidnapping.
Oh, man.
I just got charged with the possession and intent to distribute.
Yeah.
And I tell myself, like, God knows what he does and why he does it. And the way it played out for me, because had I still been hard-headed and been like, I'm going to trial, then I was also going to get hit with the kidnapping charges.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why they got so much time. I don't think it was so necessarily like the distributor. I think it was like the kidnapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
a big deal.
That
Well, because like, how many times have you watched something where you're like, it starts off with like, we're just gonna scare them a little bit, and then it becomes crazier.
Yeah.
Like you get more time for for attempted murder.
Yeah.
No. You get more time for murder than attempted murder, but it's like it's all the same in outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So I look at it, in any way that I look at it, I'm like, it was a blessing, because 30 months compared to what my co-defendants got
Sure.
was nothing.
Sure,
People got, I think at least 8 years, 8 to
Yeah.
29, I believe. The person who got the most was 29. So 30 months, and the judge was kind of like, at my sentencing, I'll never forget the prosecutor. I was bawling, I was in tears. And she was like, why are you crying? It's only a couple years. I was like, she's such a bitch.
You're like, well, she's so jaded at this point.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just a baby.
I was like, I'm just a girl, But no, the judge was like, I think, yes, you got involved with the wrong person.
Yeah.
He's like, but I also think you knew what was going on, and I
Sure.
have to and I think there was like students there observing something. So he's like, I have to make an example out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But then, I know that they were recommending like a minimum of 5, but the judge went under and gave me 30 months.
Yeah.
So when I heard 30 months, I was like, easy peasy.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
5 years, mentally, I had prepared myself. I was like, it's going to be 5 years,
Yeah.
In federal, I think you do like 87% of the time. So I was like, it's going to be at least 4 years, And then when I heard the 30 months, I was like, I can do the 30 months. I deserve it. I have to take responsibility for
Yeah.
what I did. And I was like, cool. Done.
That's one thing that I was going to mention is like, I feel like you do understand that there was a sense of responsibility that you need
100%.
to, whatever, pay for your debt to society or whatever.
No, 100%.
Secondly, I was going to mention, you're definitely a bit of an anomaly though, because not everyone, what's the reincarceration rate? I know it's like over 70%.
Yeah, I don't know. I was determined, when I was sitting there, it was like a movie. I went in there and I told myself, like, I'm just going to do my time. Like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here, because you would see these women like getting involved in so much drama. And I'm just like, I have a real life outside of this.
Yeah,
I just kept reminding myself, like, I would have to keep reminding myself, like, this is not my real life. This is not, I would tell myself that every single day when I
Wow.
felt like I was going crazy. Time in there, everyone's experience is different, but the one thing that for me was like one day in there felt like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I would look at the clock and I'd be like, oh my God, it's barely noon. Like, oh my God, So to me, I like vowed to myself I would never go back to a place like that, because it was just like, I started doing yoga in there. Like I was so depressed, I think, like with everything that happened with my mom, I lost so much weight. I was like 99 pounds. I was like,
Wow.
yes, my clothes had to get like, luckily I had friends that worked in the laundry department. They had to alter my clothes because the clothes was so,
You were so
I was
thin.
so thin, I
God.
was like a bone,
Yeah.
I actually have a picture. I think
Do you really?
yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy though. Like, I mean, it all hit you at once. But that's the thing. You are a smart person.
But
are
you know
a very
what?
smart
In a way, I'm
person.
glad that it did.
Yeah.
Because let's just say, like, I had enough time to prepare myself, right? I knew I was going to jail. I had enough time to prepare. Like, I saved money. I made sure my kids
Sure.
were going to be okay. They were left in good hands. Like, I wasn't worried so much about my kids, But I think the hit of like losing my mom while being in there, I think that's where like it was like, you need to change.
Yeah, you mentioned that you got the news of your mom being kidnapped, right?
Yep. And it wasn't even like the news. I think I told you, like, I was trying to call her and she wasn't answering.
Oh, okay.
And everyone was kind of giving me the runaround, like, like
they didn't want to. It's like when your
Nobody wanted
cat
to
dies
tell
when
me.
you're on vacation, and they're
Yeah.
like, "We'll wait until she gets home to tell her."
Yeah. So then I started emailing because, in federal, you can email, you only get 300 minutes a month. So I had to use those very, wise. So I would email like my family and everyone was just giving me the runaround, about my mom. So then I started emailing my friends like, hey, you have my mom on Facebook. Have you seen her? Can you send her a message, And I think I told you like one night, they did count at 9 p.m., like between 9 and 9:15. And I was just sitting on the bed and it just hit me out of nowhere. And I just started like, my mom is dead. Like it just hit me and I just started screaming. Like I had like a full blown breakdown. Like my mom is dead. My mom is dead. And my bunkie at the time, she was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, no, I'm like, something's wrong with my mom. Something's wrong. So as soon as like, I was like, just waiting for them to do the count. As soon as they cleared the count, I ran to the phone and you got to wait for them to turn on the phone at 9:30. And I called my brother, my oldest brother. And I said, what the fuck happened to my mom? And he said, how do you know? And that's when, I was like, how do I know what? And then he was just like, just sit down. And like, he's like, my mom, they kidnapped my mom. He's like, they picked up my mom. And I just like fainted. And then, that's where, but I think, sometimes God puts you through those things because it's like, what else was going to make me change? Mm-hmm.
You said that your mom was in Mexico.
She was living in Mexico.
Kidnapped. You're not necessarily 1,000% sure what happened, but you're pretty sure it had to do with.
I think it has to be drug related, because no one is going to come kick down your door at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the little bit that I've talked to my aunts, like, and like friends of hers in Mexico, they kind of. I recently, actually, I think it was after I told you about it. I recently had a conversation with my mom's cousin, and she was like my mom's right hand, and she told me like some stuff that I had never known. And I think my mom was definitely involved with like drug dealing and stuff like that, or dating the wrong person, and kind of like
you,
a similar story,
like mother, like daughter.
Yeah, exactly like that, and yeah.
And she was not found. And
no, my mom was never found.
How long ago was it?
That was in 2014, May. Oh, actually, yesterday was the anniversary.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I mean, that's for sure. That's something that I can't even fathom.
Yeah.
And then we'll start landing the plane. But we're here. I'm doing a haircut. You casually mention, oh yeah, my mom when I was locked up and all this stuff. Who is this PTO mom that I'm talking to about this right now?
But it's like, what if you would have met me and I would have said that from the beginning? You probably would have looked at me different.
No, I'd be super intrigued. You don't.
Well, because you can also tell when someone's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind,
of course.
or they. Yeah.
Let's see this photo.
So that was like a video chat because towards the end,
Sure.
video chats.
Yeah.
That was like my best friend,
You can't super tell because it's just like your shoulders up, but you can tell that your shoulders are very like emaciated and slanted. Like you look really,
You
really
look tiny.
Well, this is kind of towards the end where I think I was already kind of getting a little bit
getting
better.
out of it.
Yeah. But let me see if...
Okay, yeah.
Where are you going to compare that arm to this arm? And then I went through like a midlife crisis and I chopped off my hair.
As you should. Yeah, everybody does.
I mean, girl, you're still beautiful. But like when you're 20 years old and I could see like you bopping in the car and this guy's like, that's the only thing I wondered though, is like when he saw you, obviously he knows you're beautiful and you speak Spanish. So he's like, I can communicate with her. But do you think he went into that relationship thinking that he could use you as the in-between?
No, I'll tell you one thing. I really do think that we were in love with each other because even when he got out, he was out a couple years ago. He like still looked for me. He till this day, like I've had to block him. Everyone in my family feared that he would come out and that I would probably like go back or something. But no, because at the end of the day, like the fact that from the beginning, you couldn't hold your own. And I was literally sleeping with the enemy, you know, because I was, you know. You had said that in 2009, and we, you know, so I, you know, come to find out, I was literally sleeping with the enemy.
Well,
that's
what's like, really messed up is like you guys had this time, and like while he's still looking for you, he like you grew up and he didn't.
Yeah,
you grew up because, and that's what I have the one that got away, and I think about it all the time. Like, one, we're completely different people now. And two,
But he still wants you.
he does. He still does. But like, I grew up and I did the self-reflecting and I did all the stuff that's like, being a grown-up is hard and it sometimes sucks and it's not always fun. And sometimes you have to have those hard conversations or you have to do the hard things. But like, it sounds like he's like,
he's still doing the same.
yeah, he's doing the same thing.
He's still doing the same, you know, because like I told you, like when I got the friend request, you know, you could see the person's like post, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's been up for days, you know, like yeah, and it's like block. But you know what? He's kind of left me alone. I would say like in the last year and a half, I haven't heard anything from him. I'm like, I don't know if he's gotten picked up with the whole immigration thing, because you know he got deported. He got deported and he crossed over. How? I have no idea.
Oh, he came back.
Yeah, he came back. You know, so I haven't heard anything from him. That's why I'm like, I don't know either.
Sure.
Maybe he's in jail again. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's perfectly. Just don't contact me. You know.
I also think it's easier for women though in our heads to be like, to shut that off. Like you can still have it back here and you have those good memories and all those, you know, lovey-dovey thoughts, but like to just like, I'm not going to contact him anymore.
No, fuck no.
Yeah.
And not only that, like the partner that I have now is probably like the most healthiest person that I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have to wait up at night and be like, where are you?
Yeah.
Or like,
Yes.
you know, why aren't you answering?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you come home? Like, I've never dealt with that with this person.
Of
you
course.
know? And,
Yeah, you can leave him
and
with-
then to add, I met him while I was fighting the case and he waited for me.
Shut
While
up.
I was in jail.
I was going to
Yes.
ask you guys when you met, or
Yeah.
ask you when you met him.
He's a really solid person, you know.
Yeah.
He wasn't the nicest when I was in jail. I will say, you know, it wasn't easy.
No.
It took him, I think, a little bit over a year to come visit me, and I was just kind of like really hurt about that. And I think till this day, it's like a big issue because it's like you didn't come see me when I needed you the most. But you know, at the end of the day, he's still
Yeah.
waited for me, you know?
Yeah.
And I always say, because everyone's like, do you think he was messing around? I'm like, hey, look, if he did or if he didn't, he's a human. I'm not even mad at him. I'm like, but if he did a really good job at cleaning up whatever he had out here.
Sure.
Because I've never once when I came home that I have to deal with like
a random text.
a random person.
But
or-
at the same time, like I know we were talking earlier, even before Heather got here, not to always be on his side, but but he could have been processing it the same way,
Yeah.
right? Like he's processing, okay, is this something that I'm willing to pursue? Is this something that I want to give myself to or to my life to? And I've seen him with your kiddos, and like you mentioned, solid dude.
He's very solid.
He's a great dad. Like he loves those babies. I mean, yeah, you know.
Well, and that's hard too, because like, you being in prison, like you said, every day felt like 2 weeks. Your time is going slow for you, and he's living his life. He has to keep going, otherwise, what's
Yeah.
going to happen? So I don't know what involvement he had with your children at the time.
He actually still kept in contact with my kids. His sisters like would go and pick up my kids because, you know, I had 2 kids, you know, that are not his kids. And I mean, his whole family had, you know, I don't know if his parents knew that I went to jail. I'm sure they did, you know, but I never
You
directly
guys just never
said-
talked about
Sure.
it.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, I was in Mexico with my mom, you know, but I'm sure they knew, you know. But no, I mean, everyone came through for my kids, you know.
Well, and that's the thing is like that would speak more to me as a person if I was in that situation and he's still thinking about my kids.
Yeah.
In a way that's positive and healthy, obviously.
Yeah.
But like he didn't come visit you. Well, you know, that was still a new relationship.
Yeah.
And you went to jail. So he's like, you're an adult. You can handle yourself. These kids need somebody.
Yeah. No, yeah, he was definitely there for the kids and I mean he still is, you know. I mean he's amazing. He's good. I'll give him that. I will give him the credit, you know.
Yeah.
He's solid.
All right, let's land the plane. Two things. What would you have any kind of, say someone stumbles across this podcast who may be in a situation that you found yourself in, looking at something that was maybe easier,
Don't do it.
a little
Don't
more
do it.
lavish.
That is, honestly, that's one thing like I wish I could do is like get my feet wet and go talk to younger girls or like girls going into high school and stuff like that. Like, do not be fooled by the nice things, like because it just takes a second for your life to change, and it's just not worth it. It's not.
Maybe there's your thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
I've thought about that for a long time.
Non-for-profit girl.
maybe
I'm
you're the nonprofit that
because
go out
girls,
there.
it's easy. Like girls now, especially now, I think like with social media and
Oh,
like
hell
these
yeah.
influencers, like you want to be like them, you want to live a certain lifestyle, you want to this, and it's so easy to get influenced. Like, you meet this guy, he's got some money, hey, I can, help you make some money. And then you're like, oh, it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. And then you're fucking
In prison.
in prison.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it.
No. Well, and that's what sucks too, is like they see it online and it looks so easy. It's like everyone always posts when they've lost all the weight, but they didn't show how much work and how many tears they shed to lose the weight if that's important to them. Or
And not
like,
only that, if you go to jail, like if you don't have, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No, you're
off,
good, you're
but
good.
like if you go to jail and you don't have a good support system and you don't got some money, you are gonna, it's rough. It is so rough. I luckily, like I said, I had time to prepare myself. I left money. So it was like, but I also had a great support system. I had I didn't need for anything in there. If you have money and you go to jail, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
Good to know.
Yes. But, but if you're a lost girl like I was, when I was younger and you don't have a good support system and then you end up in freaking jail, like
You're gonna get chewed up.
you're gonna suffer.
well, and that's
No
the
one's
reason
gonna
why so
really-
many people get reincarcerated is
Yeah.
because they come out without that support system. There's a group in Waukegan, and he hires convicted felons, people who just got out of prison.
Really?
There was one guy that I met. They teach them the trades. So I met this one guy. He had gone to prison because he had been the getaway driver for someone who shot up a trap house that happened to have the star football player in there, and he died.
Oh my God.
So they drove off, and so he did his time. And when he came out, you can tell, like, he's like, I regret my part in it. I didn't know that was going to happen, but I knew bad things were going on. I should not have been there. I should not have been doing that. I should have been just doing what I was supposed to be doing, and that was my school. And, he's very remorseful. He's married now. He has children. He has a job because he was able to work into that program, but he also had a support system at home that was like, okay, we've got to regroup and figure out what's going on here. But not everyone has that, and some people don't have the mental capacity for it either.
Some people don't want to change also.
Yeah.
I'm like, some people don't want, like you have to want it.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to do the work for you. You have to do the work yourself. So it's like, for me, it was like, I knew that I wanted to change. That's why, when I did the drug program in there, oh my God, it was so intense, because it was like, aside from like therapies and group settings and stuff, it was like you were living in a separate unit, but it was like simple things, right? So you had a group meeting every morning in the chapel, and let's just say so-and-so would say like, hey, today I want to pull you up. You walked on the grass instead of walking through the actual road. Like it was that petty, but it was just teaching you, like it was, the principle of things. Like you were not supposed to use this, and I caught you using, the TV when you were not allowed to use it. It was like, and I would tell myself at times like, why am I putting myself through this? But it was like, no, you just got to look at the big picture.
Yeah.
You got to, and like,
Well, it teaches
I
you
didn't know
humility.
what integrity was back then,
Yeah.
and my caseworker that I had, like, she would drill me. She would monitor my emails. She would monitor my conversations, because what she didn't want was like, I don't want you coming in here preaching one thing and then you're over there BSing on the phone doing another thing. Because like what a lot of people would do is like, they had money on their books or something, and they would tell their family, like, I don't have anything, so they would monitor you, constantly to make sure you're not just
Sure.
talking
In
the
that
talk or
group.
walking,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh, that is kind of awesome.
it was hard. I'm like,
Yeah.
that was really hard mentally, but at the end when like I finished it and I was like, you know what, I'm proud of myself
Yeah.
because I did this, because I chose to do that.
Yeah.
I could have just been in the regular units and
Yeah.
just living my life.
And you should be proud of you. Like, honestly, from the outside looking in, I can say, like, you should be proud of what you have accomplished up until
You're
now.
gonna make me cry.
With the scars, with the things that you've seen, for sure, you should be. I mean, you don't cry because you're going to make me cry.
I know,
I've
but
been
you're
super
making me
emotional
cry.
lately. You should be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should hold that as a badge of honor. That was life. And honestly, like, the amount of tenacity and like drive that you have, I'm looking at it now, like 38 years young, like
Yeah.
this is your launch point. Like, you have so much to give.
Yeah, I told myself like my 40s, I want my 40s to be the best years of my life just because it was so rough like my whole life, and I'm like I'm trying to figure out like what am I doing?
You got this. You got someone who
100%.
orchestrated an entire kidnapping.
But that's the thing. That's the thing is like you are so smart and you already have done most of the hardest things that anyone could do. Not so many people cannot do that.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest things is to look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So many people don't want to do that, or they want both. They want to do what they want, but they want everyone to look at them and think like you're a great person or you're doing the right thing. You did everything, but you really did it. You really did it. And then you did it as a mother, as a wife. Like, you guys are doing it.
Yeah.
And you're setting that example for your own children. And whether the older ones and the younger ones, they see like, okay, this was what she had to go through, and she came out even better afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
you've always been smart. You've always been amazing. You've always taken the hits, and that was just that one stumbling point that is like, hey, you keep acting a fool, you're gonna be here
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. I know it was something that you were kind of on and off with, but we will respect your privacy, and
Thank you.
we honestly, I think your story is super powerful, and if anything, it's going to help people understand what resilience look like, even if it's not to that point, right? Like, sure, maybe we have a lot of white collar folks that listen to our stuff, but if it's a situation that they find themselves in, that they feel like you make a choice every day. I think of that, especially in business, right? Like, I've always said, no one's coming to save you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make the choice. You have to do the work. You have to pull yourself up. No one's going to hold your hand through it. And that's just the hard part of life.
Yeah.
But it is a beautiful thing when you start to understand that, start to surround yourself with people who will make you better, who will help along the way. And those are things that come in to play with your story, and we've seen that. So thank you.
But that's also what one thing you said does strike me is like there's that balance too of no one's going to hold my hand and no one's going to help me.
Sure.
There's a difference between waiting for someone to come help you and
Exactly.
then going out and asking for help.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
there are people out there that are willing to help you.
Yeah.
Like, if you decide to do a mentor prep program, or even just going to schools and saying like schools like I grew up in, like those kids, some of them are in those situations.
Yeah.
Exactly. My friend teaches there, and I hear stories all the time. And then even up here, there's things all the time that you hear about that happen that, get on the Kenosha scanner, and you're just like, their bubble is so little right now. It encompasses like maybe a car's worth of space, and they don't really see the bigger picture. They don't look like you want to live in the now, but you want to do things that will affect you in the future positively, and they're thinking of instant gratification and not building blocks,
Yeah.
So I think you have so much more to give in your life, in your 40s, that you, even beyond your own family, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. It goes hand in hand. Yes, no one's going to do the work for you. No one's going to come save you. But in that, I would say that is where you find someone to walk alongside you.
Yeah.
And yeah, you put it so perfectly.
And it's not like just partners. It's not just like this is one of my best friends, but ew. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. I came in and I helped him, and he's helped me in many ways too.
Yeah.
And having that friendship is so awesome. Like, because I guess it's because I've been down on myself, because I'm like, I have no one to look for ticks for me. I have no one to pick me up from from the Merlins when I drop my car off. But like, I'm rich in friendships, and I'm rich in relationships other than romantic.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of girls like hold on with claws to nasty relationships that aren't serving them, but are like instant gratification. But at the same time, they're not, because like, I know every time you found out about him dilly-dallying somewhere else, you were livid, heartbroken, all the emotions at once.
I was always chasing him through a street in the car, me and my friend. Like, it was just, I think the biggest lesson learned from that is like, from all of this is I will never chase a man. Even like with my current, partner, it's like, hey, if you want to separate the day you don't want to be together, then like, let's just do it in the most calm way.
Yeah.
And I will never do that again.
Yeah.
No,
Because
exactly.
I feel like chasing love is what put me into,
Yes.
that situation. And I won't chase no one ever again.
I would say that's super healthy though, because in a way, like my wife and I just had this conversation the other day. We heard through the grapevine that some people that we know and kind of hold in a high esteem with their relationship, that they're kind of going through it and they're thinking about separating. And my wife was like, man, that sucks. I hate to think that that's happening to them. It could happen to us. And I was like, of course it could happen to us. And I want her to know, and we talked about it. I was like, I want a relationship that we wake up every morning knowing that we have to put the work into. Like, I don't want it to get to a point where it's comfortable. And I had this conversation with that one family being the example. Like, I've heard it time and time again. You are with this one person for whatever the timeline of your children are. Your children become the center focus of your relationship. And then 18 years later, they're off to college, or whatever many years later, they're gone. You're empty nesters with this person. And that's where this family is, kind of. And you don't know the person that you're with. Like, that's why it's so important to put in the time every day to. This morning, right before leaving, this might be TMI, but we had a little dance session, right? Like, I'm getting ready, my wife is there, and we're
Friday,
just.
you went to have lunch with her.
Yeah, she picked me up and went. Just the little things that try to like keep
Keep it going.
in the
But it's also
center.
good for your kids to see that too.
Yeah,
The example of like, I'm still working on wooing this person.
sure. Yeah, and I'm not perfect. My wife will tell you I'm not perfect. We all have
No
our
one is.
stories, but
I am.
Heather's perfect. All right, we will let you go. You have a
Thank
full
you.
day. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much. And I know I really hope people listen to this and
I
see
know.
how awesome of a life change that you've had, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I want to hear it when it's done.
I know that is the fun part. I like to listen to every episode after it's aired. And I'm like,
I'll put it together. I'll send you some links, and
Thank
we'll
you.
make it happen. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
thank you.
Bye.
Let's go.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Y'all Be Good. And as always, a reminder that we are a project of Little Lion Cuts. We hope you've enjoyed these stories just as much as we have enjoyed sharing them. Every family has a story, and we're just grateful that we get to hear yours too. If you've enjoyed today's episode and you think someone else might need to hear it, don't forget to share this podcast with them. And hey, while you're at it, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. That really does go a long way. You definitely don't want to miss out on any of the real, raw, and inspiring conversations we've got lined up. And we'd love to hear your stories too. So go ahead and find us on Instagram at y'allbegoodpod or drop us a message with your thoughts. And until next time, y'all be good.